Ray, I'm loving these conversations with you, and I'm so grateful to have yet another one.
Me as well. They've been enlightening and insightful, and it's just been a wonderful experience.
This is our fourth one. Can you believe it?
That's right. It is
It
the
is.
fourth one. Of course, my numbers have been swirling around in my head because some days I think it's a Wednesday when it might be a Thursday. No, actually, it's usually I'll say it's a Thursday when it's a Wednesday. So the numbers can
Yeah.
get all wrapped up in there. But
I know what you mean. Time is just going super fast, it seems. It's like living a week within a few hours, it feels.
absolutely.
It's like that day sped by. So, what are you noticing lately about anything?
Wow, that's a heavy loaded one because there's a lot of things I've noticed, and I'm sure you all have too. Like, let's think about one thing that I noticed. There was one day not that long ago that had a combination of wind, hail, snow, the sun. So I say that that's indicative of what I've been noticing lately is that things are changing quickly.
Yes.
Things that would not have been the focus have become the focus. Things that maybe in the past would not have gotten so much attention. I now see all these YouTube videos or something that is
Right.
becoming attention. And one of those
Mm.
things I'm noticing is people are more enlightened. People, and when I say enlightened, I mean willing to look beyond what maybe they traditionally used to think. That's
Right.
one thing.
Right. I know we talked about remembering, and I think I don't know about you, probably so, but for me, I'm remembering to listen to myself, to use my discernment in these times of just fast paced um, activities and just with all the crazy things going on. How does one tell fact from, fiction? And I think the only way that I've found that works for me is going inward and really tuning into what I'm feeling, not what I'm thinking, but what I'm feeling. So basically, intuition. How
Yes.
about you?
I I don't know if I could have put it any better than that. The going within. Because within is the source. And I say
Mm-hmm.
that because I like how you said feeling versus thinking. Um, I'm sure you're familiar, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with the book, The Gift of Fear.
Oh yeah, one of my
Yes,
favorites.
right, so insightful. It was written by, I think his name is Gavin DeBecker.
Okay.
And one of the things he really emphasizes is the voice that speaks to us first. One of the things that grabbed my attention, and of course, I did it on Audible. Yes, I love audio. So, what he gives a scenario, and he talks about okay, so thinking of being nice, I'm paraphrasing here, means that you might be a woman or a vulnerable person, and uh, you are standing at the elevator and then the elevator arrives and there's two guys that are strangers that you don't know, and so you want to let the elevator go. I believe Oprah spoke on this one time before too, but the way he breaks it down, and he says, so you get on the elevator because you're like you want to be nice. You think you might be perceived as even a bitch. uh, But then when you really, your intuition said, hey,
Mm-hmm.
maybe wait. Hey, maybe let's not do this. But then he broke it down even further and he said, so not being nice, and again, I'm paraphrasing, so please do not blow us up with, I got the story wrong, okay?
You're
It's
doing a
just the
great job.
principle. And he says, so instead of getting into basically a cell with two people, a steel cell with two people who you don't know,
And your intuition is telling you
It already
otherwise?
Your intuition says don't do it.
Right, but
So
you
that,
do it to
but
be
you do
nice.
it to be nice.
People pleasing.
Yes,
I
and
did
to
that
not be
well.
rude. And as opposed to, but you thought your way there. Your intuition spoke loudly. First and said, "Whoa."
Yes.
And like you, I'm learning to listen to the whoa. Okay, not woke. Okay,
right.
We could go, but whoa, like because our mind, our intuition, and when I say mind, I'm not talking just brain. Our mind, our inner speaks to us, and because of the way I used to think, it was a tough time for me to learn when my inner is speaking. So it has taken practice. What have you done to make sure you listen to that voice first?
No, like you, I'm a people pleaser, and so I would ignore that still small voice that spoke first, and I would ignore it, right? And then the outcome was like, oh, I should have listened to that voice. I knew it, but I ignored it on so many occasions, right? So I think, especially now, uh, being in a different environment, I'm able to really, and I make it a practice. What do I feel about this situation? And I'm really tuned into my feeling, not the busy monkey mind, but the feeling of what am I feeling now? And then I go with whatever I'm feeling, no matter what.
Yes.
You know what? If we're not going to be the nice person for ourselves, no one is. Why would we go against what our soul is telling us just to please somebody else who may not have our best interest at heart?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's like we have to do it for ourselves first.
I agree.
What do you think?
I agree with that. And as you were saying that, I was thinking, well, because really, given even what we're saying, should they have our best interests at heart, or should they have their best interests at heart?
Right.
And with what we're understanding, we each are supposed to have our in-tuned best interests at heart.
That's right.
And practicing that, like you said, it is a conscious practice.
It
So
is.
how I see it now is very different than how I saw it 10 years ago.
Yes.
It's a muscle that has to, like any of our muscles, be worked on. What might be some of the things you find helpful in strengthening the muscle of listening?
Well, that's a good question, Ray. One of my practices is to just check in with myself in the morning as I'm waking up. I'm just silent for like a good 5 minutes and just listening, being open to listening. And I'm pausing now with that in mind. All throughout my day, when I encounter something, there's a pause. I take a breath and I listen. So that's what I've been doing. And being in nature also.
Yes. Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. Well, I like that practice, and I was going to say it's intentional. Like you said, when you get up, you wake up, you have already set an intention to do this a certain way. You're not reactional. What I'm hearing is more proaction, more intention with not reacting to what's happening, but setting the stage and tone for what your experience is going to be starting in the morning.
Right.
Is what I'm hearing.
Exactly, because we have that choice.
We do. We absolutely do. And I feel, to your point and question, I feel it's my responsibility to be intentional with me. And so, like you, I have worked the muscle by realizing I took all of these years being programmed in a different way. And that's nobody's fault. That's my experience. And now what I do is when I wake up, after gratitude, I set the tone for what I'm responsible for, which is me. In every way that I show up, that's my responsibility. And then as situations occur, kind of taking a pause to be the observer. It also takes me from being feeling like something is being put upon as opposed to being part of the scene. What's happening in this scene? So it then becomes someone's not doing something to RAE, okay? What is happening and how does RAE choose to show up and observe it, which has helped in situations of challenge where, quite frankly, I don't want to hear what the person has to say,
Right.
or I'm reactionary inside.
Right.
But instead of going right there with the, I
Yes.
think about, okay, this is happening,
Right.
and being responsible for that, and continuing to learn what I am, you know.
Yes.
And that's also what this practice has helped me understand.
Mm-hmm.
When is it me listening to me, and when is it me looking and trying to please or not being authentic with me? And that took practice to even learn who I am.
Absolutely. I love that
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
I love that you see it as a scene that you're observing. And it's not what's happening to you, but it's what you're observing.
Yes.
So that creates that distance where you don't have to react.
No,
You can
right.
think, and how do you want to respond? That's a great practice.
It is a work. It's a process, and I will say it also allows those feelings that you can think your way into, is because you are not recognizing your part in it, as opposed to it now being, I could be a victim. We all know about the drama triangle. Or as opposed to, okay, how did I choose to produce, as we are produced here by our amazing Darab, how are we choosing to produce what's happening? And when you take responsibility, then that means you owning that you can navigate it along the way.
Exactly. So beautifully stated. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, just continuing to grow.
Yes.
What would you say is one thing could be a takeaway from those that are listening who may have, just like many of us,
Right.
had people pleasing? What would be
Right.
your one thing that you would want them to walk away with?
This just came to me. So if you are like I was and Ray was, wanting to please people, how about pleasing this person, yourself first? Really just honoring your heart, your intuition, and if you don't take care of you, no one else does. We are responsible for taking care of ourselves, for listening to our higher guidance. The kingdom of heaven is within, and so we are to tune into that. And so that's that's the takeaway that I want others to have. How about you?
I love that. I think that is spot on. It's not selfish. It's actually loving, because you're not making someone else responsible for your actions.
That's right. Absolutely.
So love them by loving you.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that.
I always enjoy our talks.
I do too, sis.
I love you, sis.
I love you, sis.
See you next time.
Bye.